All right. We are getting rocking and rolling. This is Tuesday's Mastermind Speak to Grow. I'm Kathy Riley. I am your hostess with the mostest. I am the Queen Cat Herder. I help you use words to grow your business strategically. I like to say words matter, and they truly do. So, welcome everybody. It is a Tuesday after conference, so we're all sort of taking an inventory of all of those amazing people that we met. And now I'm hoping we're all scheduling time. We're strategically scheduling time to meet with them, to get to know them a little bit deeper and see how we can serve. Most entrepreneurs that I work with come with a servant heart. Would agree? Everybody in this room, we have a servant heart, right? We do. Right. And we want to give, but what I will tell you at the end of the day, you also got to make money. Don't forget, you've got to make money. So one of the things that I wish to share with you today is every time you have a conversation, right now you need to be booking. You should have a full week of appointments, right? Next week. Do as much as you can in the next couple weeks to talk to people. And every time you talk, first of all, have a clear intention, but second of all, have a call to action. What is one call to action you can have? Now, as a speaker, we're taught this, right? So you showcase your genius, you give your value, and you have a call to action somewhere where it could be a lead magnet, a freebie, a book, a course, whatever it is. But when you're speaking one-to-one, you can absolutely have a call to action. And one of the things that I do strategically when I'm on the phone, and for those of you that have been on the call with me one-to-one, you'll know I'll say, what's one way I can best help and support you today? What's one thing? Because at the end of the day, we may not be doing business together, right? You may not be my ideal client. I may not be your ideal client, but I know somebody who is. So that's where the call to action is important. So I always ask, what are you doing? And 9 times out of 10, they respond, well, what's one way I can help and support you? And I'll talk about whatever's going on right now. With me, it's the Speaker Academy that I've got coming on in a couple of weeks. Miss Amanda's going to be there. It's going to be awesome. It's 2 days. It's this. And I'm like, who do you know that's a speaker? Who do you know that would like to perfect the way they talk, or at the end of the day, make more money speaking? Getting in front of the right people. What that looks like is so important, and it's missed. So who do you know that would love to start make money speaking? Who do you know that would like a system, a blueprint that would get them on stages? Right? So when you meet with someone one-to-one, have a call to action. Does that make sense?
Sure.
You guys, you promised to do that?
Yeah.
Committed to do that? Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, yes. Okay, awesome. And before we really get into the nooks, because we're doing our speak tweak today, and Miss Amanda is our fantastic. Oh, look at that face.
No, I bumped my computer and it was earthquaking. We're good.
All right, all right. Post-conference, who has any questions, follow-ups, ahas post-conference that me as the alpha leader can help you make a better strategic plan in the post-conference follow-up?
I think the biggest thing for me was the speed networking and noticing how from person 1 to person 20, the messaging changed. And if you're paying attention to your feedback and asking the right questions, that's going to continue to evolve. So I think it was a good practice of active participation and really being in it and finding out what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Any other thoughts, questions? Mac, talk to me.
I think Amanda's right, but I've always looked at it as practice. That when you're talking to somebody, you kind of know, and obviously it depends on who you're talking to, and you've spoken about this a lot. We have to modify, but it's still practice every time that we're talking, and we try to grab it and do it better the next time. For me, the Friday was awesome. I mean, I was exhausted, and that by the end of the day, and I don't get exhausted. Between the veterans group and the wealth of people that I met, not just wanting to do veterans business stuff, but disabled warriors and suicide and stuff like that. It's just such a great group. And then I had a very good interest in my video books with Prinavision, and scheduled several appointments, follow-up appointments with that. Sorry. One of the things we do have with Prinavision is the CEO has a open podcast for all business genres. He's looking for all of us that have a business that want to get on and talk to his reach of thousands of peoples across the country. And that, I had a lot of people check that, with me, and I'm starting to make those connections. So
Good.
it's fun.
Good. Thank you for sharing. That's awesome. Anybody else have any ahas or questions to help make the post-conference follow-ups easier, smoother?
Well, one of the things I'm sure everybody knows at this point that I'm going to be working with JW, and we went around everybody to all the different signs standing up, and I mean, this is a complete education on how the brain works, and he's explaining to all the exhibitors and so forth, and talk about wow. I mean, the exhibitors, this is a new way of thinking. And so we got cards for almost everybody.
Good. And that's part of one things I talk about when words matter. Are you showcasing in your signage the emotional connection? Are you answering their problem? Are you creating because you can do that in just a few words.
Yep.
And are you doing that in your signages? Because oftentimes, if you look at a lot of the signages, we talk about systems. Mm-hmm. We got a blueprint for this and we got that. Well, nobody gives a crap.
Right.
How are you going to help me?
How are you going to connect to your client's heart, your value system?
Yeah. And solve their problems, because you got to talk to the problems that they have.
Yep. And so I learned a tremendous amount. And so, that's one of the things. But again, unfortunately, we've all been educated the wrong way by the education system. And we transfer that to our messages, which completely turns the brain. One of the things I found, he said there's two things when a person looks at your website, your literature, or anything else. He says one of two sides of the brain is activated. One is either skepticism and analysis, and it has to find something wrong. That's what analysis does. And then the other side is values. And if they connect with your values, it's like a clamp. And from there on, they want to know everything about you. And that's why it increases website traffic up to 1,000%.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing. Awesome. And Mary T, your picture went to your horse, and I just all of a sudden went, oh. So that's my personal connection there. Yeah. So I love it. All right. So let's get going. We're going to roll into Miss Amanda. This is going to be a little speak tweak. So thank you all for showcasing and sharing your thoughts on post-conference. We're transitioning now to Miss Amanda and the speak tweak, when she's going to have 5 minutes to showcase her genius. And Miss Amanda, can you share with us, as we offer our feedback, is there an area or something that you wish us to focus on, or just open season?
Yeah, open season. I have spoken a lot between different venues and different webinars, but I really want to build that out as another revenue stream. So any and all feedback is greatly appreciated.
Perfect. So I'm going to set my timer to 5 minutes, and I will pop it up as we start getting closer so you see that? Can you see if I do this, can you see it?
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Because in a professional setting, you'll get little cards, like they'll tell you, or they'll have a timer in front of you as you clock down. So at some point, as a speaker, having that, being able to multitask and continue to go down the path is always awesome. So are you ready? And I don't,
Ready?
Miss Amanda, go ahead. I don't have an introduction for you. So introduce yourself here for 30 seconds. Tell us who you are.
Okay, Amanda Taylor. I am a sales and marketing strategist. I help people leverage technology to get more eyeballs on their product or service and help them do what they do best.
Love
That's
it.
Less than 30 seconds.
That's less than 30 seconds, but it's absolutely perfect. So thank you,
Great.
my dear. Miss Amanda, take it away.
All right, imagine trying to read the ingredients on a jar of peanut butter while you're inside it. It sounds absurd, right? Yet, as business owners and entrepreneurs, that's exactly what we do every day. We spend countless hours inside of our businesses, crafting messaging, developing products, fine-tuning our services. We're swimming in our own expertise. And just like being in that jar, we become blind to what's written on our own label. It's 2 years ago. I was convinced I knew exactly what my clients needed. My messaging was polished. My services were comprehensive. My graphics were on point. And my approach was completely missing the mark. I was speaking my language, not theirs. I was so deep inside my own jar that I couldn't see how my message looked from the outside. It took a brutally honest conversation with a mentor to shake me out of that perspective. She asked me one simple question. Have you ever watched someone visit your website for the first time? I hadn't. And when I did, it was humbling. What was crystal clear to me was confusing to them. And what I thought was engaging was actually overwhelming. Here's what I learned. As entrepreneurs, we often fall into the trap of trying to do everything ourselves. We spend countless hours wrestling with marketing strategies, social media, and messaging, time we could be spending in our area of mastery. But let me ask you something. If you bill $150 an hour for your expertise, yet you spend 10 hours this week struggling with your marketing tasks that a professional could do in 2 hours, how much is that DIY approach really costing you? And think about it. Doctor doesn't manufacture their own medical equipment. Restaurant owner doesn't grow their own foods. So why are we trying to be marketing experts, social media managers, and copywriters all at once? Your zone of genius is valuable, but it's just one ingredient in the recipe for success. So how do we step outside the jar? I have 3 concrete steps. 1, find your first readers. Who are your loyal customers who will give you honest feedback about how they found you, why they bought from you, and learn how to scale that. Number 2, invest in expertise. Network and collaborate with other professionals whose competencies fill your gaps. And then you calculate your opportunity cost. Track the time you spend on those tasks outside of your expertise and multiply it by your hourly rate. The question isn't whether you can do everything yourself. Of course you can. The real question is, should you? Every hour spent outside your expertise is an hour not spent creating value where you excel. So in today's market, success isn't just about having a great product or service. It's about making sure the right people know about it, understand it, and can see its value. You can't do that if you're stuck inside your own jar, trying to read your own label. Remember, the most expensive perspective is the one you never get. Your success might just depend on who you let look at your label. So who's ready to step out of their jar and into their zone of genius? And
Bravo.
time.
Very good.
Juicy. I was muted. You still had a minute left, but well done.
I talk
well
too
done.
fast. I know that. I gotta slow down.
So feedback.
Bring it on.
I was mesmerized by it. It's like, I loved it.
Thanks. I like that.
I think what might help, it was great, but I think what might help me understand, this is my first call with you guys. I'm brand new to the whole network and stuff. What's the use case for this? When and where is this used?
So we have some different opportunities within different networking events to showcase to other business owners what we do, how we work, and how we can teach from our own experience. That's how I was using it. I think, Kathy, you said anybody that decides to do this little 5-minute test, it could be a podcast, it could be a webinar, it could be anything. So for me personally, it was reaching out to other business owners and sharing that expertise and just creating a new way of thinking about their business and their marketing.
Yeah. So we have people who are on here who are like perfecting their BNI talk, right? How do you talk about your business in a way? Then how do you know a keynote is, more storytelling, things like that. So however you want to use these 5 minutes, go for it.
Got it. Okay. Very good.
So, and Miss Amanda, you showcased your genius within your business. Love that. Any other feedback on this? Questions, ahas from her? What did you like? What do you think she needed to work on?
I got one.
Go for it.
All right, Miss Mary T.
Amanda, excellent. Your visual of the peanut butter and then concluding. I mean, you exemplified a professional skills as a speaker, and yeah, very well done. I think you obviously been rehearsing it quite some time, and you're smooth, and so I am sold on what you do.
Well,
That's all.
Any
yeah, and
other?
it's not just me. I'm just expanding on the messaging. I talked to people this weekend that, I'm like, well, how do people find you? I had a client, I walked in and they had all these posters up in their gym of this program, but there was no call to action. There was no fulfillment available. There was no there was no QR code, no website, no phone number, no nothing. And just, they're like, this is a beautiful flyer. And so I just see it all the time that we're so inside of it and it's so awesome in our own brain.
Very true.
Yeah, that happens a lot with speakers is we have this amazing story, right? Our origination story, how we got started and how we have this amazing solution. Now what?
Yeah.
So love that. Any other thoughts, feedback?
I thought you had great painting of the pictures as far as them wasting their money doing things that they shouldn't be doing. And I thought it was excellent also for them to multiply those hours and see how much they actually were wasting of their present money. I thought you had some great pictures there.
Thank you.
Story pictures.
Thank you.
Any other? I see some brains moving. Any other thoughts, feedback? Come on, don't be shy.
We have a podcast guesting service that one of the philosophies is really that you get to practice sharing your message a lot over and over and over. It doesn't matter if there's 2 people listening or 2 million listening. We recommend everybody gets on every podcast they can possibly get on to see themselves, to listen to themselves, to hone their message, to hone their call to action, all the things. So you guys this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
the
I
more
love
we
how-
can do
Go
it
ahead.
and tweak it and get really good constructive feedback so that our message is hitting, and then we can go out and multiply. I love that.
You can go out and multiply first. That's partly what I'm saying is this is an exercise. We oftentimes want to, we're trying to perfect things so much that we should just get out there and, imperfect practice creates perfection. So just try to speak as often as you can. I've produced over 200 live events. I've been on 300 stages in my life. And I'll tell you what, from where I started to where I am now is a whole different deal. And that was from just fumbling and bumbling and being embarrassed and just doing it.
Yeah. Perfect. I love that, Brad. And I love, Miss Van, you started with a question, and I love it. I love it. This is what I teach. Start with a question or start them thinking about something. And then whenever you do that, also make sure you give them time to actually think, right? So you allow that. And anytime you ask a question, allow them time to actually answer instead of darting on.
Okay.
But that was an excellent question. It was very unique, and and you tied it all in so nicely. The only thing, so you talk, the interaction component, allowing people to say, I've got 3 great tips I'm going to give you. Do you want to hear it?
Okay.
Asking them, getting their participation. Remember, when you're speaking, it is 2 ways.
Mhm.
So they're speaking to you non-verbally. You've got to be listening and pay attention and drawing them in. So you did a great job drawing them in with the first question, and everybody going, what? Yeah. And then you're like, oh my God, yes, all about perspective. I love it. And then to say, I have these 3 genius things. Do you want to know? Because I kind of know what I'm talking about. Do you want to know? And everybody would lean in and go, yeah. And then you've got them really fully invested. And only other thing, you had great pacing, all of this throughout. You didn't rush anything. It was great. A little more energy. I could
Yeah.
tell when you started talking about things that you were like in your zone, but then some of the other things were kind of like you could tell you were in the practice zone. Like you were just, your tonality was kind of like, I'm pacing, I'm doing that, I'm trying to. So just practice it enough where you're just passionate about the whole thing, because when you showcase your passion, they will respond accordingly.
Okay.
But it was so good. It was so good. The way you started, I was like, damn, girl, that was awesome. And we're talking
Okay.
about technology. You compared it to the amount of hours. That's a pain point for all of us.
Mhm.
But allow them to sit in that pain point a little bit too. It's just like that wasting away, that leaving money on the table, the doing the things that don't, ring that cash register.
Yeah.
So you do the thing to do the thing to do the thing to do the thing. You're getting ready to get ready to get ready to get ready.
Mhm. It's just like what Brad was saying. Yeah.
So any
My
other
own-
thoughts? So how did it feel, Miss Amanda?
Fine. I was thinking the whole time, slow down, because I know my tendency to just, because I'm like, I got it. And it's that, I don't know if it's nervousness or whatever, but I tend to do that. So I was trying really hard to speak slowly and pause. And I know I don't pause enough because I'm like, I gotta keep going. So that's just a thing that I do need to work on for sure.
There's
But
great
practice,
power
practice.
there's great power in pauses. I don't know if you guys are familiar with something called Speaking Circles by Lee Glickstein. If you're not familiar with that, it's really powerful. I'll share quickly. He talks about rooting down into the ground and then up into that person, and you're communicating to that one person at a time, and you're having this deep, intimate connection, and you can pause because you're with that person fully, and the whole audience is captivated by your presence. They don't know that you're just eye gazing and connecting with one person at a time. So you have that conversation with them, and then you complete that conversation with them and do the same thing to the next person, and everyone's just fully engaged. And it allows you to really calm down and have that powerful pause and spaciousness in between each word that really connects.
That's awesome. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm writing
check
that down.
Cool.
So good. So good. And what I will say to add to that, and when you are speaking virtually, because
Yeah.
I've done conferences online, I have look into the camera. Okay, do that eye contact, because we have a tendency, and here I am, I want to see what you guys are doing. I want to look at the chat. But when you get your mojo going, look at the camera. I actually have a big arrow next to my camera right up
good.
here. You can't see it, right? But
Nice.
I know on a subconscious level, I tell myself, keep looking up there, keep looking, I'll do the kind of like you're driving, you're supposed to every 6 seconds look in the mirror and all that so you see what's going on. It's like, do that, because then your audience feels like, oh,
She's talking to me.
looking right at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, people make that mistake a lot. It's really sad to see they're staring down the whole time they're on podcasts. I'm like, look at the camera. We ought to be looking at the people. So that's really good feedback.
Yeah.
But in the virtual world, the other thing is you've got to be more animated. You really do. And yes, so you have, and on a stage, is it like Mamie was talking about?
Yeah.
This is a stage that we don't use, and it's very empowering up here. Right? And you use your hands to get them like, do you feel me? Do you get it? Do you want to know? Come on. Do you want to know? Right? How can you use this space and so this is our square.
Yeah.
And I also, when I do speak, I know I'm sitting right now, but when I speak virtually,
Mhm.
da-da-da.
There you go.
Oops, and I just knocked over my water. All right.
Yeah, the energy is so different already. Yeah, it's so different.
So, and this is so for all of you guys, if you got your 5 minutes, use your 5 minutes, right? Use the space, stand up, everything. That make sense?
Yes.
Super good.
Now we're going to go back down because
Good work, Kathy. This is really valuable.
because from my perspective, this is more of a training, and training, I try to be more, I'm with you, right? I'm not speaking above you. The other thing is when you stand up in a room, you're seen more as an expertise, body language, posture, everything. It's like you're that expertise. So if you're a paid speaker, if you're somebody you want to get paid on the back end, right? The big back end that I talk about, you want to stand. And here's what I will tell you. It doesn't, you don't have to have, like, I don't have a fancy desk that lifts. I've just got one of those things that I got at Office Depot, whatever. But you could put it boxes. I started with just boxes, lifting it up, right?
Yeah.
So that you can stand and take up that space.
Good.
Okay. Anything else? I could just go on and on and on about this. I love this stuff. I love this stuff. But you did an excellent job, Mr. May. You, the way you start, I just sat back going, damn girl. All right, you got it going on. That was awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate the chance to practice.
So if anyone wants to sign up to be in the Speak, Tweak, and showcase their 5 minutes, put your name in the chat and I will reach out to you to get you on the schedule. This is your 5 minutes to do whatever you want, whether it's to showcase your business or whether it's, and I do believe each one of us, our keynote, we should have a 5-minute pocket version of our keynote. Okay, because you never know when somebody's going to say, I got 5 minutes to kill. Kathy, you're a speaker, come do it. Brad, you're a speaker, come do it. Can you fill in for 5 minutes? Can you showcase some genius? Can you offer something? And especially if it's not a sell, right? Oh, I got 3 tips that I could hammer in. Here we go. How to improve networking. Da-da-da. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Great.
no one. Okay, there we go. That's better. I'm like, no one? Come on, people. Let's go. Any other thoughts, questions as we wrap this up?
Is there anyone in the organization training on what I used to train at CO Space? It was called a SNAP, Super Networking Accelerates Potential. And it was your elevator pitch or your what you do statement. I felt like that was missing before we jumped into the speed networking. So are we training? I mean, this is 5 minutes, but are we training anywhere in this organization on elevator pitches? If so, who's doing that?
That's part of what I'm doing. And on
Oh, cool.
our talk, we do cover that as well. It's just not something we cover on a weekly basis.
Okay. Feel like that would be incredibly useful in the organization. That was just my thought. I used to train globally to hundreds, if not thousands of people on virtual conferences for that. So it's interesting. It'd be good.
Well, if you train on that, then let's have a conversation about maybe I'll have, because I'll tell you what, here's what happens as a trainer. You guys are hearing from me on a weekly basis, and after a while, I am the Snoopy.
Right.
So I love having other experts come on and showcase their differences, because it's all about perspective. We can hear something 10 times, 10 different ways, and one of them will resonate. So,
Let's talk, Kathy.
that I would love that. So put your contact information in the
Okay.
chat, and then yeah, Miss Val, do I have your did you put throw your email or text your in there, and then I will reach out to you.
I just put my website link. Oops, that's a direct message to Val. Snap Super Network. Oops. I'll put it to you here, Kathy. Let's see, everyone. So you can just get on my calendar on that site, okay? That's
Perfect.
probably easiest.
All right, guys. This is awesome. I'm going to stop recording now because technology is my friend. Technology is my friend.